Hello, hello, ladies and gentlethems out there. I am B. This is B's Biased Babblings, and in this episode, we are looking at Legacy Buzzsaw. Now, in the last episode, I teased that the next review would be buzzworthy, and a few people had commented guessing that it would be one of the buzzworthy Bumblebee toys, but that was in fact a red herring. And today, like I already said, we're looking at Transformers Legacy Buzzsaw, and of course Buzz, you know what I mean? And of course, in keeping with, because Legacy is like the new thing right now, so I thought it would be a brilliant idea to showcase one of them. And this is, strangely enough, one of my favourites so far. Like, I have most of Wave 1 so far. I've got Laser Prime, I've got Skids, I have Dragstrip and Kickback on the way. I don't have them yet, they're due this week. I'll get them out and have a look. But I felt like another reason I wanted to look at Buzzsaw is because everybody and their ma has already done a video of Legacy Prime. And it's similar enough to my opinions of Siege Prime, and I've already done a video of that, Earthrise Prime. So the story of Legacy Buzzsaw and his wave mates, I believe it was Shadow Panther or Shadow Prowler, I can't remember the name, and Sandstorm, the Scorponok repaint, was, I think they were a bit of a stopgap wave, I believe. I'm not sure if they were supposed to be Wave 2 or Wave 1 or Wave 0 or something, because officially, of course, Wave 1 has been like Legacy, Laser Prime, Skids, Dragstrip, all those ones, and then these guys sort of came out of the blue. And locally, these guys showed up in my local stores before any of the other Legacy ones came up. So we had, last time I went to the store, they had Buzzsaw, they had Sandstorm, as I said, and Shadow Panther, or whatever his name is. I'll edit it here if it's not, because I can't remember if Shadow Panther is this guy or the black one. But anyway, no, not this guy, the other guy. You know what I mean? I can't think today. So I went to my local stores to see if they had any Legacy stuff yet. Obviously, I already had most of Wave 1 on pre-order anyway, but I just like to see who's about, you know, so that I can relay to my pals and stuff on Facebook, especially Transformers bot posting, shout out, and on Twitter. I always like to give people like a heads up if I see ones that they're interested in, if they've already hit stores, you know. So, and obviously rarely, like I talked about in my last video about the Cyclonus unboxing, that UK gets stuff quite late normally, so I was very surprised to see these. These guys just sort of randomly appeared out of nowhere like a month ago, even though they were only just announced, so I don't really know if they were supposed to come out before that, or if they were supposed to come out later. I don't know if this is a similar situation to Toy Colors Cyclonus, which was announced and then released in the space of like a week. It felt like, even though he was originally supposed to come out in like November or something crazy like that. And I saw on my comments of the last video, somebody pointed out that in Canada this guy's due in October. So again, I don't know. And thank you for the response so far on this video, by the way. I'm still having a lot of fun with him. He is very beautiful. So let's move on to Buzzsaw himself. After that waffling, as always, you know I love a waffle. This is a repaint of Kingdom Waspinator. And I don't have Waspinator, my boyfriend has him, but he's in Canada, so I don't have my hands on him. I believe he is a straight recolor and has a different head, but we'll see that in robot mode, of course. Interestingly, I initially thought that this guy had green translucent plastic because his eyes are a very nice sort of bottle green colour, but as you can see the wings are black, and I can't get the lighting on it now, but there are in fact clear plastic, like translucent clear, that has been painted black. And the same for the head. The head is completely translucent clear plastic that has been painted with the yellow and the green in the eyes. And then the same thing for the head. Again, we'll get that in robot mode. It's completely clear plastic and he has been painted, which is interesting because, of course, I believe Waspinator was entirely purple plastic. Although I'm not 100% sure of that, again, because I don't have him in hand. So I don't know whether he is purple plastic, cast in purple plastic, or if he is the same as this, cast in clear plastic and then painted purple. I'm not sure. But anyway, talking of colours, there has been some interesting debate online about what kind of insect this is supposed to be, because of course you look at the yellow stripes and you immediately think wasp, and of course the patterns on his thorax here are very waspish, you know. and the wings are very waspish, but I also feel like from certain angles, maybe because the body is so thick, he reminds me more of a bee in some aspects, and of course I love that, being a bee myself, of course. I really love the colours on this guy. I wish that he had different coloured wings. Like, I wish they'd either left them clear or did another colour, because the black wings just kind of get lost. Like I say, when you see the light through them, and I'll try to get pictures of that like I did with the Cyclonus light piping in that video, you can't really see, but when you look at it through the sunlight, it's pretty cool, but it is like you need the direct light behind it to see. And I would much have rather if they were just clear or like a lighter colour, you know. I really like the green for the eyes, I appreciate that, and in robot mode the head, but again we'll get to that. One thing I wish he had yellow legs, because they just kind of get lost, like in the, I know the background's not great for this, but like the legs just kind of get lost in the mix because they're just black. You know, I think Waspinator had black legs, but because he was green, it sort of stood out more, whereas he has a lot more black. So it kind of gets lost, you know, and then obviously wasps have traditionally more yellow legs. So I feel like it would sort of make Buzzsaw feel more like an actual wasp if he had yellow legs, you know, even if it was the same colour as this sort of goldy colour. It's a very nice sort of yellow. I don't have any others near me. I should have thought of that, but anyway. He's not the same colour as Bumblebee yellow, you know, he's definitely a more sort of dark, almost green toned yellow, I would say. Definitely sort of like a gold colour, rather than like Bumblebee sort of like sunflower yellow, you know. It's very nice. But yes, I am only so much of an amateur entomologist myself, so I don't know whether this is a wasp or a bee, but he is certainly very vespid, for want of a better word. We can just call him whatever. If he's supposed to be a specific species of wasp, let me know down below, because I love wasps and sort of insects like that. But yeah, certainly very vespid. I don't know what else to talk about him in this mode, because like with all the beast formers, like they don't really do much. His little mouth parts move, which is adorable. You can see not any particular grip strength in them, you know, you're not going to be able to like hold anything. His legs move sort of on their base pivot, so this front leg moves and then these back two legs move together on a very stiff sort of peg, so you don't really get much posability out of it. Well, I suppose you can move his head up and down, but that sort of depegs it a bit, you know, sort of ruins the silhouette. And wings, obviously ball jointed, this little antenna can rotate. They're not ball jointed, sorry, but they are able to rotate, so you can get some sort of like adorable expressions and such, but not much in terms of sort of posability. He just sort of sits and looks nice, and I suppose that's what insects sort of do anyway. But yeah, shall we transform him then, because I feel like there's a lot more to talk about in robot. So isn't he a handsome fella? Like I said, he is just a straight repaint with a new head of the Kingdom Waspinator. And just for a quicker look on that head sculpt, again, I will get proper pictures of this for Instagram and such. He's a reference to, I should have looked this up before, but I believe there was a Beast Wars repaint of the original Waspinator toy in this colour with this head, I think. Or maybe this guy is the sort of human head and Waspinator is the mutant head. You know, the way they did that for, I'm not Chris McFeely, I don't know the full history of that. I'm sure other people know more. But regardless of where this head comes from, it is quite a nice head. I quite like how you can't really see in this angle, his eyes look very dark. Like I said, his head is entirely painted clear plastic. Well, the back section is, sorry. But they have painted the front of his eyes in like a blue. So let me see if I can sort of get an angle. Maybe, like I said, I'll get pictures of this later. but it's interesting because it's dark enough that it does make him look kind of dead, but when you get the light behind it in a certain way, it kind of, rather than having the whole eyes glow like on other toys, it just sort of has like the outline of the eyes, if that makes sense. Again, you'll see in the pictures. It's interesting. It's maybe not my favourite look, but it's certainly something different, something interesting. I don't really know why they chose blue for the eyes, because there's no other blue on him. I don't know. I feel like either they could have had it green to match the eyes, or they could have had it purple. I don't know. Waspinator, I believe, had purple eyes and looks very, very spiffing with the purple eyes. Speaking of spiffing, I like how his complete thorax just ends up just sticking off his ass, just as a thorax would, I suppose. But it's interesting then, because you may think, oh, well, where's his weapon? Well, of course, a wasp's weapon is its stinger, and this is one of my favourite sort of integrations ever of a weapon, is that it is in fact here. The little stinger part slides out, so that's what it looks like in there, and then it's a little gun. Now, of course, it's only got the stripes painted on the top. There's no sort of painting of the barrel or something, but I suppose you could paint something on it yourself, like just put a little grey end on it or something, And I think that looks quite cool, so he's walking about with this little stinger gun. Again, quite a handsome face. Just to sort of call back on this, he reminds me a lot of Hellbat, one of the Breast Force characters, and the Blue Jet from the Lau Kaiser team, combiner team from Transformers Victory. I know that there's probably absolutely zero people who get that or like agree with that, but something about like the little ears, or like sort of bat wing looking ears, like it just definitely reminds me of Hellbat. This would be a great head sculpt for him, for anybody doing a custom. So in terms of this toy, I like there's a lot more purple comes out in this mode. Like you have the head, you have the sort of pelvis, and then like his arms and his little back toes. It's interesting as well, like his feet are sort of quite nicely shaped like this, but if you prefer, you can have, of course, these parts facing forward to give them like toes, or else sort of have them pointed, like that, so that he has sort of I would just say, well, like those, like their little paws nearly the insects have, you can sort of replicate that. I quite like the posability of this guy. Again, I don't go through posability because I know that I'll miss one and then somebody will whinge about it, so I just skip posability entirely. But he poses well, and that's all you need to know, okay? So the only thing that I dislike posability wise, like his legs and stuff, his arms have great range, his head's fine for what it is, ball joint, he can look up quite far, not down that much. His wings are still hit on the ball joint, of course, so you can have them flat against his back, like a cape, if you like that silhouette. I'm sorry, like the background here is so black and dark, so I have to like do this to try and get him, to show. So you can have it down like that, but for a little bit of different sort of silhouette shape on the shelf, I like to have him with the wings up, because that feels more, he feels more like a fairy then, it's like a little fae buzzsaw. What was I saying? Yes, my only sort of grievance with the posability and such of the robot mode is that his mandibles completely just get in the way of like the thing. So like sometimes, well, like this, it's fine the way this is, like when his pelvis moves around, but then sometimes it like flaps up and like sort of just spiffs everything off a bit, so it's not like a major annoyance. It is a minor annoyance at best, but I know that if I don't point them out, somebody else will say something, so I just need to say something about it, But yeah, a pretty cool toy, like I don't really know why I like it so much, because, and, like, hot take alert, or like opinion, how dare somebody state their opinion on the internet, but the Beast toys aren't really my jam. I'm not like a G1er by anything, obviously I'm too young for that shit, but the Beast things just don't get me going as much as like the the more blocky robots and stuff, you know, like obviously I like beast-shaped robots, like obviously I have Dinobots, and then Snapdragon and stuff, and Repugnus obviously is like a beast, and the other little slug over there, and I suppose Zarak himself is a scorpion, so like close enough, you know. But just like these sort of organic ones, I don't know whether it's because like I don't have enough to make their own shelf of them. I just have a couple, I think, and most of them are actually repaints. Like the only one that I bought myself that wasn't part of a 2-pack of repaints was Tigatron, and I love Tigatron. I will do a video of him in the future. But so Tigatron's the only one I've bought that wasn't a repaint, but the other ones are repaints. Like I have Shadow Panther, the repaint of Cheetor, because it was going really cheap. It was only a tenner on Kapow. And then I have the Toy Colors Black Arachnia and Nemesis Primal from the Buzzworthy Bumblebee set, but that was entirely because I wanted the Fangry. So, and also shout out to Admin Jake on Bob Posting for hooking me up with that set. I will do a review of that in the future, probably as a full set, because it deserves like its own full, you know, like as a 4-pack, you know. But enough waffling. I like this guy, but I don't know why. He is like objectively a fun figure because he's really posable. You know, he has all the modern doodads that you'd expect. Like everybody's always shouting about ankle tilts now. They're so important, but they're great. His little gun is adorable. I love the wasp mode. Maybe it is just because he's a wasp. If it was any other insect, I wouldn't really care that much. Like I don't really care about Black Arachnia because he's a spider. But I love this because he's a wasp, and the colours are just so fun. Yes, they're maybe not quite as popping, like the translucents aren't as popping as they are on Waspinator, but I might have a custom idea for that. If I can find a way to get the paint off these, or at least thin it a bit without damaging the plastic, maybe we'll see something different. You know, I think he would look quite nice with the purple wings, or maybe even pink or something. Oh, I don't know. Like a G2 Waspinator, which doesn't make sense, but anyway. Yeah, he's interesting. He's a fun toy, and definitely worth your time if you are interested in insects. Even if you're not that into Beast Wars stuff, like I'm not, he's still a fun figure on his own. Like he doesn't, and maybe that's why I like him, because he doesn't feel like, you know, he's not like a main character so that your, what would you say, like your completionist head kicks in and then you're like, oh no, now I have to get all of them. Like he can exist solely on his own, and that's why I like him, because he doesn't sit with any other beastie characters on my shelf. He sits sort of on his own, or occasionally with the bumblebees, because of course I love a pun, and that's just a fun thing to have bees and wasps together, you know. He's fun, and he's definitely worth anybody's time if you're interested. I picked this guy up in Smith's, which is a physical store here in UK and Ireland. They have an online shop as well. He's probably still in stock. Obviously I'm not sponsored or anything, I'm just telling you where I got him if you're interested. So yeah, quite a short one today, and I know there wasn't much like overall gushing, because like again, like he's not like one of my favourite characters, because I don't really know much about him as a character. I still have to read up on that, you know, like on the wiki and stuff. But just as a toy, he is a fun toy and definitely worth anybody's time if you're looking for something a little bit different. You know, that's the other thing, like if you're sick of cars and planes and stuff, then sometimes these little beast ones just give you like a little spice that you were maybe missing. Or if you just like the colours, again, if you're into insects, if you like wasps particularly, obviously like fantastic. And I feel like this is as close as we may ever get to a Transformers Bumblebee that turns into a Bumblebee. I can dream, I can only hope, and I hope that some of the designers like Mark Maher and Mark Clonus on Instagram, if he's watching this, please, 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 Mark, give me a Bumblebee that turns into a Bumblebee. Even if it's just a repaint of this guy with like a brighter yellow and a different head, like I would love that so much. You know I love puns. That would just be perfect for me, you know? I never understood why Bumblebee was never a Bumblebee. He's always a bloody muscle car now. But anyway, that's a whole rant for another day. So this has been Legacy Buzzsaw, and probably more time has been devoted to chatting absolute shite than actually talking about this toy. this guy is actually a queue jumper. The next video that I had intended to do in this series of Bees Bash Babblings was in fact Energon Tooling, but our guy from Scotland, Gav TRDQ or Gesh Gav on Twitter, jumped in there and did a review of this guy. I'm not mad, obviously. Like, this is just the way that, you know, like, you're never going to be the first to review any toy, but like, so I will still want to talk about this guy because I do have some thoughts on it, but just because like I don't want to be seen to be like copying or something. Do you know what I mean? So like I will leave this guy for another time. He's still getting a review at some point. So as a bit of a sort of tongue-in-cheek nod to Gav's video on Energon Tooling, in which he mentioned that nobody in the world has Energon Downshift, the next video in this playlist, Bees Buys Babblings, will be Energon Downshift, because for some reason I have this. I don't know why. Nobody else remembers that this exists or anything like that, but anyway, we'll talk about that next time. But anyway, I have been B. This has been Legacy Buzzsaw, and bye. Just wanted to give a very quick shout out to Gesh Gav on Twitter. Obviously mentioned him before, but he did the artwork, the Rotor Storm artwork, and I think it ties the channel together beautifully. So if you're in the market for a art commission, go check him out. And with that, I'll leave you with thanks for watching, and leave a like, leave a subscribe if you liked what you see, and I'll see you next time.